It's only been a week since our last news update, but there's already plenty happening in the world of self-publishing. The CEO of HarperCollins weighed in on AI authorship, AI detectors, and what publishers may start asking writers to prove. Lulu just announced a dead simple direct sales tool that could remove a whole lot of friction from selling books yourself. Dibbly Create finally added the one feature I've wanted since day one, and it will save authors a whole lot of extra work. And 2 book review platforms launched some interesting new tools. All that and more in the self-publishing news for August the 20th of 2026. Support for Self-Publishing with Dale comes from Publisher Rocket, my preferred Amazon market research tool. I've been using Publisher Rocket since 2017, and what I continue to appreciate most is how much time and guesswork it takes out of researching and marketing a book. Now, one of my favorite features is the reverse ASIN search. Find a comparable book in your niche, drop its ASIN into Publisher Rocket, and you can uncover keywords associated with that title. From there, you can research those keywords, find additional variations, analyze the competition, and make more confident decisions about which terms actually make sense for your book. Publisher Rocket also helps with category research, competition analysis, and Amazon ads targeting, so you're working with actual market data instead of simply guessing what readers might be searching for. There is a little bit of a learning curve for newer authors, but Publisher Rocket includes short, straightforward tutorials to help you get up to speed. And because one purchase gives you lifetime access, Publisher Rocket has plenty of time to pay for itself. If it helps you sell just 62 more books over the course of your author career, or saves you 10 hours of research along the way, you've already made up that investment. Save yourself some time and guesswork when you visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/publisherrocket. Again, that's dalelinks.com/publisherrocket. Publishers Weekly recently spoke with HarperCollins CEO Brian Murray about the growing number of controversies surrounding AI and authorship, and his comments show that traditional publishing is beginning to wrestle with how it handles manuscripts created with generative AI. Murray described the current situation as quote-unquote very murky, particularly when it comes to copyright. He raised the possibility that an AI-assisted book could potentially be treated like something in the public domain if enough of the work isn't eligible for copyright protection. Now, that's still speculative, and I think we need to be careful with the term AI-assisted because people continue to use AI assistance and AI generation almost interchangeably when they're not the same. There's a massive difference between asking AI to brainstorm ideas, research a topic, proofread your writing, or help clean up a few sentences, and having generative AI produce an entire manuscript. Now, interestingly, Murray doesn't believe AI detection software is going to solve the problem. Instead, he thinks authors, agents, and publishers need to establish industry-wide best practices based largely around, oddly enough, trust and disclosure. He even suggested authors could eventually be expected to keep records documenting their writing process so publishers have some assurance that the work was actually written by a human. Now, I'm not sold on that angle. If an author wants to document every stage of the writing because they're concerned about someday being accused of generative AI, that's their choice. But requiring writers to maintain some elaborate paper trail proving how they created their books feels unnecessarily invasive and a burden to me. If traditional publishers eventually decide that's the price of admission, they're certainly free to establish those requirements. I just don't think documenting every step of the creative process should become another standard responsibility dumped into authors. And this issue isn't stopping at publishers, though, here, folks. Editor Mary Cole recently wrote an excellent guest post on janefriedman.com about how working on 2 undisclosed AI-assisted manuscripts caused her to rewrite her client agreement entirely. Now, Mary shared how both manuscripts appeared polished at first, but the deeper she got into editing them, the more she realized she wasn't doing the same job she normally performs for a human-written manuscript. Instead of helping an author strengthen their existing voice and creative decisions, she found herself making many of those creative decisions herself. She was reshaping emotional arcs, strengthening characterization, and essentially trying to find the humanity inside material generated by AI. Now, that additional work has now changed how she handles these projects. Her new agreement requires clients to disclose AI-generated content, allows her to renegotiate or terminate a project if the AI use turns out to be significantly greater than disclosed, and reserves the right to charge a 50% premium because of the additional editorial work involved. And I totally understand that from firsthand experience here. Last year, I worked with Dibbly on a case study where we had a generative AI produce an entire novel. I read the raw manuscript, and while it was technically readable, it was mediocre at best. There was too much internal exposition, not enough natural dialogue, and large parts of the story just felt stilted. Then Dibbly brought in a human ghostwriter to quote-unquote humanize the manuscript. I got to use the word humanize on this situation here. Now, the difference was immediate. The dialogue improved, the characters felt more natural, and the story became considerably more enjoyable to read. After that, an editor came in and took it into another level. By the time the manuscript went through both human passes, it was a night and day difference from the original AI-generated draft. That experience showed me there can be significantly more work involved when somebody hands a professional an AI-generated manuscript and simply says, edit this. Yeah, so some editors are going to refuse those projects altogether. I get it. Others are going to take the work, but recognize that the scope is completely different and charge accordingly. And that's fair. Now, Mary also stated how she reserves the right to submit a small portion of a manuscript to AI detection software, although her own agreement acknowledges that those tools are imperfect and their findings aren't definitive. So kudos to her on that. That's probably the part where she and I differ the most. I don't put much faith in current generation of AI detectors. We've already seen far too many questions about false positives, inconsistent results, and what those percentages actually prove. If an editor wants to use one as part of deciding which clients they work with, that's their business. But I wouldn't personally want to make a major decision about somebody's manuscript based primarily on an AI detector. And it's interesting that while one side of the business is experimenting with detection, the CEO of one of the world's largest publishers is essentially saying he doesn't believe a technical solution is going to settle the issue anyway. For now, publishers, editors, agents, and authors are all trying to figure out where these boundaries belong. Now, judging from these two conversations, we're probably going to see a lot more contracts and policies attempting to define them. Lulu is rolling out a new buy button for direct sales with a public waitlist currently available to U.S. accounts. The biggest benefit is you don't need a dedicated e-commerce website to use it. Once your book is published through Lulu, you can share a direct checkout link through social media, email newsletters, QR codes, in-person events, or embed the button on your website if you already have one. You can set your own selling price, keep your customer data, and Lulu handles the printing, fulfillment, and shipping while Stripe manages the transaction and payouts. Now, I haven't had a chance to test the buy button yet, but from everything Lulu has shown, it looks dead simple to put together. Get on the waitlist if you want access, and I'll also include Lulu's full video tutorial inside the show notes as per usual if you want to see exactly how the setup works. My preferred writing software, Dibbly Create, finally launched a feature I've been begging them to add for about 3 years: manuscript imports. Authors can now upload Word or PDF manuscripts instead of starting a project from scratch or manually copying and pasting every chapter in separate sections, which can become incredibly labor-intensive with longer books. Dibbly Create will automatically identify the chapters in your manuscript and let you approve the structure before anything gets created. I haven't had a chance to test the new import feature yet, but I'm super excited to finally see it added. This is something I've wanted since day one, and thank goodness they finally got it. If you picked up my latest book reviews for books available through major online retailers and in libraries, you probably remember my case study testing several book review exchange platforms across 9 different titles. 2 of those services, Get Authentic Book Reviews and Book Bounty, rolled out some noteworthy updates this week. Get Authentic Book Reviews is increasing the number of points members can earn for reading and reviewing books while encouraging everyone to keep a comfortable, natural reading pace. Just as a friendly reminder, those points only help your own book once you actually use them to request reviews. Side note, during my case study, Get Authentic Book Reviews generated more than 339 reviews across my books and scores more since. So I've had plenty of firsthand experience with the platform. And moving a little further forward, they're also reminding members about an option for lower rated reviews. If you finish a book but don't feel comfortable posting a low rated review publicly on Amazon, you can submit that feedback privately and still receive your points. Personally, if I spend the time reading a book, I'm comfortable rating it honestly, good or bad, but I completely understand why some authors don't want to publicly tear down another author, so I can see the value in having that option. Meanwhile, Book Bounty, the fine folks over there at Book Bounty themselves, have added image and video requests for verified purchase print reviews. Authors can now request that readers include a photo or video with their review, and I think we're going to see a lot more visual reviews across retail platforms in the years to come. Book Bounty is also placing limits on how many visual reviews requests can run at once so the activity stays natural instead of flooding a product page all at once. As you can imagine, that just looks a little off. Also, Book Bounty launched a new cover feedback area where authors can share cover designs with the community to get feedback before committing to a final version. That's pretty nice. It's a neat addition, although I'd still prefer feedback from readers specifically inside my niche rather than a broad audience whose tastes may have nothing to do with my market. Now, quick side note, during my reviews for books case study, Book Bounty generated more than 148 reviews with an average rating of 4.7 stars. So it's good to see both of these platforms continuing to add tools while tightening up on how their review systems operate. It's time for the Rapid Fire Newsflash. I'm going to give you all the important news just in a quick soundbite. So here we go. Voices by INAudio just added a new promotions dashboard where authors can submit their audiobooks for retailer promotions. Voices sends your submission directly to the retailer, and if your title gets picked, they'll automatically set the promotional price for the campaign. You'll find the new dashboard under the Marketing tab in your Voices account. And even though there's no guarantee you'll be selected, never hurts to try, right? The AI audiobook company Spoken is hosting a free multicast deep dive webinar later today, Thursday, August 20th at 1 p.m. Eastern Daytime. The team will demonstrate its magic mode tools for creating multicast audiobooks, including character voices and accents, custom audio, and its new speed control feature. If you're interested, register now before the session gets underway and to get access to the replay, of course. Moving a little further forward, Tertulia for Authors co-founder Linda Hames is joining me later today, Thursday, August 20th at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Daytime for a live author website build from start to finish. We'll show how quickly an author can get a professional site up and running with little more than an ISBN or Instagram handle with no coding or technical experience required. I'm geeked up with this one here. I'm telling you, I can't wait for you guys to see it. ProWritingAid recently rolled out Creative Nudges, a new tool that analyzes your existing manuscript and suggests questions, directions, and possible story beats to help you figure out what comes next without taking control of the writing. Creative Nudges are available across ProWritingAid plans, including free accounts, with a limited number of nudges available each day. And speaking of ProWritingAid, they're teaming up with BookBaby for a free webinar called Is Your Manuscript Really Ready to Publish? On Tuesday, August the 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern Daytime. They'll cover using ProWritingAid to identify development issues before moving into professional cover design, printing, and distribution through BookBaby. And the Women in Publishing Summit is hosting a free webinar with Miblart on Wednesday, August the 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern Daytime called The Marketing Power of Book Covers, from market research to promotion. They'll cover first impressions, market research, and using your finished cover across different promotional channels, with the big takeaway being how to build a stronger cover design brief that attracts the right readers. For the third week in a row, my friend Maddie Dalrymple has brought another fantastic guest to the Indy Author podcast. This time, Drafted Digital co-founder and CEO Kris Austin. Kris breaks down some of D2D's recent changes and why they were necessary, including how bad actors and AI-generated spam accounted for as much as 70% of submissions in some months. I'm a huge fan of both Kris and Maddie, and this episode is absolutely worth your time. And speaking of Drafted Digital, the replay of my recent Self-Publishing Insiders interview with Drafted Digital is now available. We cover how authors can build a YouTube platform, choose the right content, grow a community, and get started without waiting for everything to be perfect. If you've been thinking about YouTube, this is a solid place to start, so go watch the replay right away. And as we start to wrap up things here, I want to say a special thanks to Publish Rocket, my preferred Amazon market research tool. It helps authors save time and remove the guesswork from keyword research, category research, competition analysis, and Amazon ads targeting. Instead of spending hours trying to piece together the data yourself, Publisher Rocket gives you the information you need to make smarter marketing decisions for your book. Check it out through my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/publisherrocket. That's all I have for this week's self-publishing news. What do you think about some of the latest updates? Did I miss anything? Hit me up on Discord. Let's talk about it when you visit dalelinks.com/discord. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll catch you next week.